Patrick, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Patrick Chandler, and I am the student pastor at Longview Heights Baptist Church in Olive Branch, Mississippi, and I'm also a ministry leader, volunteer through SCA.
Tell us about the access that you've seen for you and your church through the Toolbox Project.
Absolutely. The last few years, we have had a great desire to be in schools, but didn't have access. And so we've been praying and asking God to provide a way to be able to have access to the schools. And so shortly before partnering with FCA, we had an opportunity to open up with two different teams on two different campuses, but we were only doing two teams out of all the schools that are surrounding our church. And so we had a desire to take that to another level. And so I sat down and met with John Engstrom about the concept of the toolbox and the vision and the strategy that FCA was trying to implement and to bring to the equation, and how they were going to do that. And so as we began to talk about those things, it led to me going through the ministry leadership application to be a volunteer through FCA and begin to have access to these schools. And within our staff, our youth staff and our church, we were able to see this expansion within the schools go from being at two schools with two teams total to being on 5 different campuses with 25 different teams, doing ministry weekly to almost 60 coaches and over 1,000 players.
That's remarkable. Tell us about the impact, or tell us a story of the impact that you've seen on a coach.
Yeah, so first thing I would say is that one of the coaches that we've done ministry with on a weekly basis through this Toolbox project has been a coach that weekly came back and said afterwards, "Hey, I just want to thank you so much for what you're doing through the FCA and through this Toolbox." He said, what you're doing is reinforcing what I've already been teaching, and it's just good to have another voice to come in to speak to my team that's outside, that's different than me. They look at me and say, "You're supposed to say that because you're a coach," and to have somebody that's a volunteer to come alongside them, encourage them in the same way, has been really encouraging to me as a coach. But second thing I would say from a coach's perspective is I've seen coaches on these school campuses, after I finished the discussion that day, say, "Hey, let me add to what was said." And many of those times have been things that the coach probably would not have said otherwise, because he didn't have the platform or didn't have the opportunity. And so this is giving him that opportunity. And so now he is reinforcing what I'm saying and working together as a team there.
What about the impact that you've seen on a student?
I would say two students come to mind. The first student is a student of a team that I really feel like I wasn't making a good connection with. Doing this with 6 different teams a week, some teams you feel the connection, others you don't. And so with this team, I really didn't feel like I was making connection. And through some things that changed, all of a sudden it was like I felt like no connection to all this connection. And then with this connection that I have with the team, one day I was at practice, and this kid came to me and said, "Hey, you gave us the 21-day challenge to read through the Gospel of John." And so as he reminded me of that, he said, "When are you going to explain to us what the Gospel of John is about? Are you going to do that?" And I said, "Man, I'd love to do that. Maybe after we finish the toolboxes, we could walk through and begin to look at what that 21-day challenge looks like." And then a second student that comes to mind is a student who, through FCA and through this toolbox ministry, I was able to meet on a school campus. He came to an event that we were doing at our church, and he trusted Jesus as a part of the connection that I made him through the school and through FCA, and then coming to our church and hearing the gospel, was able to trust Christ. And so his life will forever be changed because of the ministry of the toolbox.